Let's throw some jabs.
The fight starts now!
All right, Sergio, another big fight card is headed to Saudi Arabia. Anthony Joshua agreeing to a deal to face former UFC champion Francis Ngannou, who just this past October gave Tyson Fury hell in losing a close decision. Now, the Fury-Ngannou fight was roundly criticized when it was made months ago. How do you feel, Sergio, about Joshua against Ngannou?
Yeah, I was one of the ones that heavily criticized Fury and Ngannou because I didn't think Ngannou stood a chance. And after what we saw with Ngannou, not only dropping the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, not only giving him all he can handle and barely squeaking out a split decision, Chris Mannix, I got to say I'm interested in Ngannou and what he can do next in the boxing ring in his second professional fight. Look, he made a believer out of me. I hate to say it, he made a believer out of me. Because when it comes to only heavyweights can get away with this, by the way. So I don't think any other lightweight or middleweight can come from the mixed martial arts world and come to boxing and think that they can do what the big men can do. No. Only heavyweights can get away with this, and only Ngannou with that unique power that he has. So yeah, I'm interested because Anthony Joshua is vulnerable. He's still vulnerable, and that chin is still questionable. So if he can get hit by a big puncher like Ngannou, who was able to do it to a defensive wizard like Tyson Fury, he can definitely do it with Anthony Joshua. So it's piqued my interest, Chris Mannix, and believe it or not, I want to see it. I want to see it. Considering that we're not going to get it undisputed just yet, I mean, this is something that could pique my interest for now.
So I'm interested in this for a few reasons. One is the reason that you just articulated there. The performance of Francis Ngannou against Tyson Fury warrants him being back in a boxing ring. While I disagree with him getting a top 10 ranking like the WBC did, he certainly deserves another opportunity against a top tier heavyweight based on that performance against Tyson Fury. So that's number one. Number two, one of the reasons that people were critical of Fury Ngannou is because Fury was the heavyweight champion of the world. And there was the belief that the heavyweight champion should not be diminishing himself during his title reign by taking on a complete boxing novice, especially when Fury in 2023 only fought once. So if you're going to fight one time in that year, it should be against a world championship caliber fighter, whether it's a unification fight or if it's a fight against a top tier level opponent. So that's not the case now with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, for now, is not a heavyweight champion. Anthony Joshua does not have a title to defend. So AJ can do whatever he wants at the moment. And look, we all know AJ was going to face Deontay Wilder on this date in March if Wilder had taken care of business against Joseph Parker. Wilder didn't do that. The date was open. Joshua had an opportunity. The Saudi Arabian government wanted Francis Ngannou in there. And now here he is making a boatload of money in a high-profile fight. So I have no problem with that fight for those reasons. Let me give you a third reason, though. So after the Fury-Usyk fight, the expectation is that the IBF belt is going to become vacant. One of a few belts that may become vacant after that unification fight takes place. The top two contenders for the IBF belt are Filip Hrgović and Anthony Joshua. Now, there's an expectation that the IBF will order Hrgović to face Joshua for that vacant title. But the IBF may elect to allow both Hrgović and Joshua to fight somebody else in between. They may not strip either Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk for a couple of weeks after that fight, allowing the AJ Ngannou fight to take place. Now, how about Filip Hrgović winding up on that Saudi card? How about Filip Hrgović taking on somebody like, say, Deontay Wilder? Deontay Wilder, I think, is going to wind up on that card one way or the other. He could wind up facing Zhilei Zhang. That's a fight that I think the Saudis really want. Or he could wind up facing someone like Filip Hrgović. That, to me, Sergio, would be like the best of all worlds, because you would have Anthony Joshua in a high-profile main event against Francis Ngannou. You could have Filip Hrgović facing Deontay Wilder in a big fight on the undercard. If Hrgovic wins, you go on to have the IBF heavyweight championship fight between Hrgovic and Joshua in the summertime. If Wilder wins, all of a sudden, Wilder-Joshua is back in play. It wouldn't be for the heavyweight title, but look, Wilder-Joshua was never going to be for the heavyweight title. So there are a lot of reasons I think doing Wilder-Ngannou now makes a lot of sense for Anthony Joshua.
It's too soon for Wilder to come back. He had a pretty physical. Well, it wasn't really physical on his end.
It wasn't physical at all.
It was draining. It was draining. It was one-sided. It was somewhat.
Was it draining? You think that was draining?
Mentally, I mean, all the things that he went through in that fight, having to.
Sergio, the last thing Deontay Wilder needs is more time off. Come on, we fought before that fight. He fought one round in 2 years.
I just think he doesn't win that fight, and that'll be the end.
Against Hrgovic, well, who does he beat? But no, that's the problem. Like, who does Deontay Wilder beat?
He gets knocked out against Hrgovic. I think he gets knocked out. I got a better one for you, and he was sitting front row. Chris Mannix, Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz, that's a man that has history with Anthony Joshua. People are familiar with his name. He's been inactive. He needs a big fight. He was there looking at these big guys doing their thing on the day of reckoning. So bring Andy Ruiz into the mix. I think Deontay Wilder, we've seen the best days of him. I didn't see that hunger in his eye. I didn't see that bomb squat. I didn't see that power puncher. He didn't unleash that right hand. Something is wrong. Something's going on. He's too content, Chris Mannix. A lot of people are saying he's too content, made a lot of money, bit a boatload of money, and I just think he's too happy with his life. You know, we see him smile too much. He wasn't angry. The chip in his shoulder was gone. So once that's gone, I don't think we're going to get the same marketability out of Deontay Wilder. I don't think we could get the same killer in the right hand and the knockout streak. Bring in Andy Ruiz. He's always in a good fight. That makes sense against a fighter like Hrgovic, who's dangerous.
No, pass. No. Andy Ruiz, how many fights has Andy Ruiz had since the second fight against Anthony Joshua? Two? That was back in 2019, Sergio. He has been more inactive than Deontay Wilder, and you want to bring him back and toss him into the ring with Filip Hrgovic? Come on, get out of here with that. Look, the last thing, again, that Deontay Wilder needs is more time off. Deontay Wilder needs activity if he has any hope of getting back to being the fighter that he once was. There's no doubt that the long layoff had something to do with that lackluster performance. Bring him back in March. Put him in with a fighter like Filip Hrgovic. And yeah, I agree with you. There's a pretty good chance that Wilder either gets beat or gets knocked out or both. But there's also a chance that Wilder lands that right hand against Hrgovic, who, look, even though he's really, really good, that fight against Zhilei Zhang a year and a half ago, it didn't really expose him, but it showed him to be not the boogeyman that everybody thought he was coming into that fight. So I think that's an excellent fight. And if you're Anthony Joshua, and if you're Eddie Hearn, you want to, look, to a certain degree, Filip Hrgovic, you want to preserve the Hrgovic-Joshua fight for the heavyweight title. Because Hrgovic, does he really want to fight Joseph Parker for the heavyweight title at some point in the spring over in the UK? Probably not. Does he want to fight someone like Jared Anderson for the heavyweight title over in the US at some point? Probably not. If you're Hrgovic, yeah, facing Deontay Wilder in March is a risk. You would be risking your opportunity to win a heavyweight title. But if you beat Wilder, you get a boatload of money, and then that AJ fight in the summer, probably in the UK, becomes a massive event. So it's high risk, it's high reward, it makes sense for everybody. That's what that card should look like. Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou as the headliner, Filip Hrgovic, Deontay Wilder as the co-main, Zhilei Zhang against, let's say, someone like Joseph Parker as the third fight. Another massive heavyweight show in Saudi Arabia, Sergio.
Chris Mannix Promotions. Look at you. I love all those fights. And let's throw Andy Ruiz.
Would you stop with Andy Ruiz?
No, listen, I love all these matchups. They make total sense. I just think it's too quick of a turnaround for Deontay Wilder. Whether it was a physical fight or not,
quick of a turnaround. He landed
embarrassing.
Oh God, it was embarrassing, but it wasn't physical. Like, he didn't have a mark on his face. He was buckled briefly in like the 8th round. That was not a physical fight. That wasn't a Fury fight. It wasn't even close to it.
I just don't like the matchup against Hrgovic. Hrgovic, El Animal, is a dangerous fighter, whether you like to believe it or not. Dangerous
I do
fighter,
believe it.
Very confident, and he's going to be very difficult to beat. He's a big man that can box. He throws great straight punches. No. Very difficult fight for a guy that's Mentally, he needs a big win. Deontay Wilder is now on the flip side. He's on the same side Anthony Joshua was. You know, he's kind of a little fragile. He needs a big win. He needs a big knockout. He needs to get those juices flowing again. That's where Wilder's at right now. So he needs someone that he can knock out. He's not going to knock out Hrgovic.
He wants to get paid too, and there's no money in putting some nobody in front of Deontay Wilder. We've seen that. Deontay Wilder knows that because he has sat out all but one round over the last 2+ years because there wasn't a big payday out there for him. So you got to take a risk if you're Deontay Wilder at this point. If you want to put yourself back in position to fight Anthony Joshua, to fight for a heavyweight title, and Filip Hrgovic is that fight. If I'm Wilder, I'm pushing hard to get a fight against Filip Hrgovic. Frankly, Sergio, I think Hrgovic is a more winnable fight for for Wilder than Zhilei Zhang is. I don't think Wilder could knock out Zhang.
Yeah.
I think he has a chance of knocking out Filip Hrgovic.
I think Shelly Finkel will disagree with you, Deontay Wilder's manager. I don't like that fight for him. I think anyone that knows style matchmaking doesn't like that fight for him. I'd rather him fight Zhilei Zhang, who's slower. Southpaw big man,
you're
but a lot
crazy.
slower.
You should never be a matchmaker. You should never be. You're insane if you think that Wilder should fight Zhilei Zhang. Zhilei Zhang, a southpaw with power and a granite chin. You want him fighting that guy? Are you crazy?
A 40-year-old slower version.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because George Foreman, nobody wanted to. George Foreman was a 40-year-old slow guy, too. He seemed to do pretty well in his twilight.
Well, listen, man, I don't like Deontay Wilder coming back with Hrgovic. I prefer him coming back with someone like Zhilei Zhang. But other than that, I don't think he's ready for Marks. I just think there's going to be speculation either way, man. Yes, they're going to pay him a boatload of money. Yes, he'll make a quick return to the ring for that money. I just think the hunger is not there anymore. I don't think the hunger is there for Deontay Wilder, and we've seen it clearly in his last fight.